Window
Anyway,
capture.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Metalhead. Welcome to my first ever podcast, which is going to go terribly wrong, I'm sure.
Shut up. Positivity.
But I have Rob from the Midwich Cuckoos.
Midwich Cuckoos. Midwich.
Midwich. Bloody English language, I swear to God. Midwich Cuckoos. There we go. Kindly taken an hour or so out of his time of his busy day. Come talk to me. And you guys.
No problem at all.
With my co-host King. That side.
Just here to look pretty.
He's here to look pretty and help me ask questions. If it wasn't for King, I wouldn't know anything about these guys. A link to the band's website in chat right now. Boop. But let's get into this. Rob, please introduce yourself, my dude.
Hello, so I'm Rob. I'm 1/6 of the Midwich Cuckoos. So there's 6 of us all together. And we've been playing in one form or another for probably about 5 years now. In various lines. This is like the Mark II lineup, really, but it's a bit of a story about how it all came about. But yeah, but we've known each other through various means for a long time. Some of us like more than 20 years plus. Some of us, so yeah, pretty tight knit.
20 years. That's quite a long time.
Yeah, so hinting at how old we are. Yeah,
so that literally brings us into the first question I have for you: is how did you all meet?
Right, here we go. Right, how did we all meet? So, Patch, the other guitar player, is probably the founder, one of the founders. So the idea for the band originally came about from him. He was out of bands at the time, so this is probably going back 6-7 years ago now. And he had a collection of songs together, and I think the original idea was to get our friend Leslie into a band. So Leslie, close friend of Dan's, she's been in music, is everything. She lives it. And but she's never been in a band before, as far as I was aware, or at least a band. So Pat was like, well, let's get these songs and get Leslie in a band. So they got batted around, worked on them together, and then they brought in a couple of other musicians, a guy called Tom, a guy called Kiku on drums. He was based out in Brazil at the time. The original singer called Valentina. She's Italian. She's back in Italy now, I believe. So these ideas for songs sort of were floating their way around the world for a couple of years, and eventually came together to be the first album, the first record, which was We Are Everywhere. And it got to the point where Pat was like, well, we've spent so long with it, we should put something together and actually play them. So he pulled together a live band, which isn't the band that's recorded it. So that's kind of like the official second wave of it. So obviously Leslie was there, and Ben on bass was original. He's on the original recording. But they needed a drummer. So that's where we started to merge. So like I said, we've known Pat, or I've known Pat since we were sort of 17 from college and bands back then. And he got in touch with Dan, who's the drummer of the band that we was in. Me and Dan were in together. We've always been in bands together, just to sit in for this launch gig, and that was kind of going to be it. Maybe a one or two shows, and it went from there. So that one show turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into 4.
Snowballed.
Snowballing
Everything, how we ended up with all of our projects. Yeah. And then it came to a point, I think Val had to go back to Italy. So they was looking for a new singer. And so me and Dan were also in a band with Tansy, who's the current singer. So offered, do you want to step in? Yep, no problem. And that came about. And then there was a gig down in Bristol, which Pat couldn't make. So he got in touch with me, do I want to stand in for a gig? Not a problem. So I learnt the song, stood in for a gig, and then never left. So that's just crashed it and never left it. So that's why we've ended up with three guitar players, really. So yeah, a bit of a journey, but it's I mean, I've never been anything like it before. It's been great. It's been brilliant. It's got pros and cons, for sure. Being in a band with 6 people.
So
sure.
You said, was it Val? That was from
Val,
Italy.
Yeah.
How did you guys all kind of hop in and get to know her? Like, did she randomly come to you guys, or?
I mean, I'm not too sure of the story about. I think Val and Pat met each other through their work. 'cause Pat works in the film industry doing
Okay.
sort of special effects makeup and sort of physical props and the like. And I think
Ooh.
Val's in that makeup sort of film based makeup as well. And I think they just hit it off. And Pat was looking for a singer, and she said, "I can do that," and that's where it kind of came about.
Okay, brilliant.
So I mean, I've never actually crossed paths with Val apart from going to watch them at the first few gigs. So yeah, it's been spread over a few years, but to eventually settle to where we are, and who knows where it's going to go? Could be, yeah, could keep going.
Could
Always
be
spoke with
absolutely anywhere. Yeah. Well, I saw that you guys were picked. What from? Was it the Kerrang winner label competition? Like you've been shortlisted for that?
Yeah, I mean that was great. Unfortunately, we didn't get through. We didn't
Oh,
win
you
it
didn't get through.
ultimately,
Oh
but
no.
it was, yeah, it was a shame. But it was a lovely thing to happen. We sort of chucked ourselves in the mix and kind of forgot about it for a while, and then we got a message through saying we've made the shortlist, and it went through like a vote, and then down to like the judges. So it was really nice. I mean, we got down to the last 10 out of about 900 bands that were
I mean
entered.
that's a feat in itself. Like to
That's
become
fantastic.
10th out of 900.
Even that in itself gives you some notoriety, doesn't it? It puts your name out there.
It was kind of completely out of the blue, like from something that we threw. The timing was right because we just kind of finished, or we just put out the sucker and the first of the videos that had gone out. So we had it was all ready to go. So it was like, it popped up, why not? Throw it in.
Exactly.
And then there we go. Like I say, we forgot about it for sort of many weeks. And then all of a sudden you're in the last 25. And then it was like, then you're down to the last 10.
Nice.
Like, oh.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think that's the moral of the thing with what everything we've done. Really, we've kind of chanced it a bit and just realised that you just got to ask. Worst that'll happen is people say no. It's kind of it. I mean, we've all been doing it long enough to kind of not really fancy doing the whole first on a Tuesday in the middle of nowhere in front of no one sort of gigs anymore. So
Yeah.
I think the aim for us is to sort of not play super regularly, but enough so we can keep it interesting and hopefully, yeah, get some nice venues and some good supports and yeah, see where it goes.
Cool. How did you guys come up with the band name? Was it something that happened before the band was sort of secured as the band it is now? And do you know how the band name came about?
Yeah, so it definitely was. I think it was there from the very beginning. The name it was, and it did come from the book, the original book. I know Pat's a big fan of, and I am too actually, a big fan of old sci-fi, like really old sci-fi. It's great, especially when you're reading it, you sort of put you in the place of the author before technology existed, really, and the way they describe things, like World of Worlds. They describe the alien's weapon as a steam ray, and it's like it's brilliant.
I remember
it definitely came from the original story, and that kind of that sort of the creepiness behind the hive-minded alien kids sort of insinuating the way things. So that was where it came from. And so it's pretty cool, and it can bring quite a lot of good imagery and good things around it. So that's sort of weird, sort of a bit weird and kooky. So that's where it came from, right from the beginning. And it's quite handy. I think there's a BBC just about to release a remake of it coming up soon. So again, good timing.
Yeah, and Sky's done I think Sky's done a version of it as well. But I'm just looking it up because I've not actually read the book. I've heard of the book, but I've not read it. So for those who don't know, sleepy English village of Midwich, a mysterious silver object appears, and all the inhabitants fall unconscious. And basically, it then goes Children of the Corn, and all the children are not born to their parents. They're all blonde and are golden eyed. They grow up too fast, and their minds exhibit frightening abilities. Sounds interesting.
It's amazing. I mean, there's that whole idea of the way they describe it is literally like a mile sphere, like half sphere, like birds drop out the sky and they fly in it, and they like get soldiers going on a rope. The rope soldiers faint, they pull them out and they wake up again. And then the next day, every female that was in the sphere is pregnant. So 9 months later, they all give birth at the same time to these freaky little alien, but they don't know what freaky little alien looking.
Yeah.
But sort of hive-minded kids that right from birth, they realise that they're all connected, and they can all do things, and it gets a bit threatening, and that's where it goes from. So how they handle it. I think the book is a bit more open ended in how it ends than there was a, I think in the 60s, a black and white, the original film. And there's a few versions since then, but yeah, it's great. It's well worth checking out.
Cool. Definitely have to do that.
So you mentioned War of the Worlds. I remember back when it originally was released on the radio as a show that people actually believed it was happening there and then.
Yeah, they did.
It's a crazy, like, the detail that they went into to freak people out.
Yeah, I guess back then when, like you say, there's nothing to challenge it. If it's like, I guess it was a radio play, wasn't it?
Yes, it started. I believe it started as a radio play, and then it just.
What, War of the Worlds?
Yes.
Started as a radio play, and people thought they were tuning into the news, so they started panic buying them, going into bunkers and stuff.
I bet you, like, if you turn in halfway through, and that's where everything comes on the radio, and you go through this news flash, which you miss the beginning, realizing it's a play.
Especially back in those days as well, because whenever you were on the radio, you put on BBC voice, didn't you? Because there wasn't regional accents. You had to have a BBC accent, and so you couldn't differentiate between the storytelling and the news.
Yeah, it's great.
So we all talk like this, and then all of a sudden, people are going into bunkers.
Brilliant.
So it's great.
A bit of a again. Oh, sorry, go on.
I know it's just the last bit. I know it always just make you laugh about reading it is just the geography. They talk about, like, it lands in the village of Blackheath on, like, 3 miles from nowhere. And it's like they're all isolated little villages who've now been sort of swallowed up by everything. And I just love it. I think it's really good to sort of just go back and, like, it's a journey. To get to Greenwich was a mission from London. It's like, it's brilliant.
So a bit of a 2-part question for you. So what genre would you say the band is? Because I've given it a listen, and there's a couple of mixes in there. There's a bit of punk, bit of what I call skate punk, and then quite ballady music as well.
Yeah.
So what genre would you say you class yourselves under?
I mean, we broadly fit, I'd say, into that sort of punk metal crossover. I'd say at the highest level. But yeah, you go beyond that, and we've thrown all sorts into there, especially songs like Blood Mother is a good one, where there is a bit of everything in there.
Really,
so it's kind of, we're very broad. I think if you like kind of heavyish guitar-based music, you'll probably find something in the songs that you'll like. Hopefully, we're not that rigid within a genre, and I think that's kind of come about. Again, at least in this new one, from us all chucking things into the pot and not really saying no, just going, not being that worried about, oh, is that punk enough or is that metal enough? It's like, well, let's just go with it, see what happens.
Just play it and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's just kind of what comes out from when we're all having a go of it. I mean, it's which has been great to be involved in. It's just kind of the noise that comes out when we go for it. We're all like a good section of the same thing, but then all of us have got other things that we're not that familiar with, so we've all got something to throw into the mix.
But I mean, also when you don't encompass it with boundaries, you get a freedom of creation, don't you? And, like, you're going to go back to what you know. So if you know metal and you know punk and you're good with those vibes, you're gonna stick it around that. But then you allow yourself to evolve around and move things into it, like with the ballady stuff, like with things like that. And it means that you get a greater freedom of creation. Like I'm just speaking from someone who likes to create things. I don't necessarily create music, so I'm just working on that vibe. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and not being worried about where things go to. I mean, just sticking with Blood Mother. I mean, there's the breakdown in it. It's got sort of a twin guitar part on it, which is like pure Iron Maiden. But Dan sort of threw in, do you know what? Underneath that, I can hear a drum and bass underneath it. It's like, all right, let's see how it goes. Yeah. And it sounds brilliant. It's like,
just mentioned one of my all-time favourite bands there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything. I actually don't like them at all. But there you go.
That's fine.
Get the fuck out.
talking of Blood Mother, like I'm obviously I'm a little bit biased because I really like it and I'm in the music video, but whilst we're on Blood Mother, what was the idea behind using Karate Kid? Like, was it a nostalgia thing? Like, why Karate Kid in the music video?
It was very much a nostalgia thing, but again, it's going back to the original thing, like you say, about an idea snowballing not out of control, but to a point where you're barely hanging on to it to make something happen. So it was. So we always had Blood Mother earmarked as a song that we wanted to put a video around and get it out as a single. So I think it's the third or fourth video. I mean, I never thought we'd be making this many videos for songs anyway. It's just kind of happened. But and the original idea was we need a simple one, sort of low production. We'll make it. So just do a
Low
live
budget.
low. They're all on a shoestring. But so let's do a real simple, straightforward one. We'll do a live recording, few GoPros, chop it together, and it'll be nice and easy, nice and straightforward. Okay, fine, no problem. And then so we'll do it at the Halloween show that we had planned. So it was a good couple of months in advance. So then the Halloween thing was like, well, let's make it a bit more, just make it a proper party and get people dressed up and come along and make a big deal of it. Okay, cool. What are we going to do then? So we've got to go with something. So there was the ideas come out. I mean, one idea which I was quite excited about was to do the whole Universal Monsters thing because there's loads of us we could do it, but that went through. And then I think because Cobra Kai was at its peak, it came about, well, let's do the Cobra Kai skeletons. Perfect. Easy peasy. So that was it. And then we got it. And then we started thinking about it. And it's like, well, it would be a shame if we just did a live video with that. What about if we push it a little bit? Well, let's get a friend to come as Danny LaRusso with the shower. And so Ben made the outfit. And our friend Rob was there. And we got bits of footage in there. And we thought, do you know what would be really good? What if we sort of do a homage and try and work in that sequence from the film, from the party where he gets chased and Leslie's like, I know a guy. And there he was.
I was
So,
that was gonna be a later question actually, was how the
Yeah.
hell did you get Dan into a music video? But that's answered it.
So basically, I've known Leslie for a long time now, a good few years now, and always sort of like on the radar with each other. We're not like speaking every week or every day or anything. It's like, hi, how you doing? And then, oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that, or we pop up on Facebook or whatever. And recently she's been like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then she was like, got a favor to ask. It's like, yeah, go on. She was like, I need this done. Do you want to be in a music video? And I was like, of course I do. When do I not? Like if you, I'm the most random person. So if you come to me and go, I have an idea, I don't know how to do it, let's do it. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's make it work. I don't care. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. And yeah, and then obviously with the MMA background and stuff, I was like just making choreographing stuff. We had to do a lot on the day. We're not going to go into that, but we had to do a lot. We had to do a lot on the day because me and Leslie met up on two occasions, about a week before and 2 weeks before the filming to do a choreograph section. We worked out a whole bunch of stuff, and then it had to change a bit on the day. But what we came up with was brilliant. I think we all worked together and we made some awesome stuff. And I can't remember the name of the dude who was doing the filming and directing. I'm really bad at names. Colin. Yes, Colin. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Like honestly, like both me and him stood there going, we could do this, we could do that. And it was like, let's try it out. And then and then like start feeding off each other. It was like, and if I go around you like this, I'm like, yeah, and if I do this, and it just turned into this massive thing. We were like, yeah, and I'm gonna do this. And he's like, yeah, and I'm gonna stand here. And it was brilliant. We like honestly vibed off him so much. It was awesome. But yeah, so
I mean, it was freezing. It was long. And it was like, because we was there like fully Cobra Kai'd up, crash mats ready to go, but we was around the back of like storage units in this spot, and every now and again to stop and like move the stuff away because like a builder would turn up, needing stuff. We're like, sorry, we're not.
Yeah, trying not to get run over by cars.
Yeah. Yeah, we got his gear in the end.
I've got someone in the chat. I've just had someone in the chat. Okay, just listen to Crosses. Never heard of the band before. Instant fan. Love it. Let's go.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you.
We've got one question I've got later. Another one that's gear related. What's your favourite biscuit?
Bourbons.
Bourbons.
Yes!
Hell
Straight
yes.
in.
Yes!
Like,
No
there you go.
argument.
Queen, are you happy now? You're welcome. Sorry. Queen came into the chat. Favorite biscuit? This is the most important question that needs to be established.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, no, well, I'm a big biscuit fan, but
Damn
Bourbons can.
right.
I'll never say no to a biscuit, but yeah,
Yes.
Bourbons number one.
So,
See, for me, Bourbons or Hobnobs, they're on a bit of a
oh,
path.
now you see, your Bourbon is your milk biscuit, and your Hobnob is your Dunkin' biscuit.
Yeah.
Bourbons, Hobnob's good. Good stability for the dunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
like,
I
it's
like
one
a
of them
dark-
that you.
I like a dark
To
chocolate Hobnob.
quote Peter Kay, dunk me! Dunk me!
Dunk me!
Dunk me!
The only thing I will say about a Hobnob is I don't like the fact it leaves nuts in my mouth. Giggity. But it leaves like bits. I don't like the fact that sometimes you got to search for bits in your mouth. But Bourbon, oh, good biscuit. Good biscuit.
Bourbon is a good biscuit. And my other half, she's shouting at me because I've not asked the question. Favorite football team? There will be some
Favourite
very
football
random
team?
questions here, and I am sorry.
Yeah. I'm not a footballist, I'm afraid. I'm an egg chaser. I'm one of the oval ball gang.
There we
Better
go.
than
That's
football.
that sorted. Right, back to random music related
That's
questions.
the football guy. If you want the football, Patch is a Spurs fan.
Oh yeah, massive.
I've got to win it back. I've got to pull it back. Shouldn't have said that, man. Come back.
He's just gonna sit there. I don't even like football. I think football's an
I'm
absolute.
an
waste of
Arsenal
time.
fan, so it's literally two rivals in the chat. No. So you've got an album tour coming up
Yes.
this month.
Next week it starts. Next week.
Next week, yeah.
Week today.
I'm hoping to be at Camden.
Amazing.
I want to try and get to Camden. I really do.
That's going to be a cracker. We're playing at the so it all kicks off at the Black Heart in Camden. 4 bands. Yeah, away we go, and that's it. We're off from there. So yeah, can't wait.
I'm hoping to get to the Peterborough gig actually, as it's
Amazing.
just down the road from me. So
Amazing. That'll be fantastic.
I'll hopefully see you guys there.
Oh yeah.
So
what? Just in case. Sorry, no, I know this is your show, but so what are your where are you going to be? Just in case people don't know, where are you going to be? You're doing 9 shows. You said 9 shows. 9 shows.
Eight in a row.
shows. Yeah.
So we start in London on the 9th. Then the day after we're in Southend at the I think it's called the Lamb and Lion. Then we're off to Peterborough. Then from Peterborough it's to Newcastle up to Trillions, and then Wednesday it's Edinburgh, Bannerman's. Then we're going from Edinburgh to Liverpool to Birmingham, and then we finish up at the Manchester Punk Festival, which is we're going on Sunday, which is going to be great. That's a real tick the box. That one, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we've ended up with a day off on the Saturday, which is I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because we might just go.
Yeah, you're gonna need it, but also as you said, yeah, it's like when you're constantly on the go, and then you get that day off, and you go, and you melt.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, what we're good for this, we get a day of actually going to watch bands because we'll be in Manchester on the Saturday as well. So we'll actually have a day of going to watch bands, and some of the bands that we're playing with throughout the week will be playing again that weekend. So hopefully, make some new buddies, and it's going to be great. Can't wait.
Awesome. So yeah, guys, if you're in chat and you were interested, there you go. You know where they're going to be. Check out the website and see if you can get yourself some tickets.
Website.
Cool.
That's my cue. That's not the right thing.
Pro streamer.
So with obviously playing live, have you got a favourite venue that you've played so far?
Oh, it's difficult. That's a difficult one. That's a real tough one because it goes on a few things. I'll say probably the nicest sort of technically and which felt like a really decent setup was the Bread Shed up in Manchester. It was a big place. We was there as part of I think it was the Hell Hath No Fury festival, and really nice, really good setup there, really cool. But then quite enjoy the little pubs where we're on the floor as well. It's a tricky one to a tricky one to
and
call.
that's
think
why
it's
I
more
threw
the,
it in.
yeah. So it's a tough one to say as a favourite, but I mean, like, so we played, the last show we played was down in Ramsgate, and it was in the corner of the pub on the floor, but it was fantastic, super good people, friendly crowd. That's what makes it really. I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll fit in anywhere. I mean, stages are kind of optional when there's six of you. At least half of you tend to be down on the floor anyway, so
Yeah.
it's
It's like when I've seen you in the boiler room in Guildford and it's kicking off. Like
yeah.
you're like right. You're on a stage, but like you're not like up on a stage, but you're on a
Yeah.
stage and you're right in front of everyone. And it must be really nice to like vibe off of everyone that's
It's
just
great.
kicking off and going off, like listening to the music.
Yeah, it's
And when I
lovely.
say kicking off, I don't mean like scrapping and stuff like.
Because I mean, it's been cases before. I mean, one of the first things that happened, like after the first gig or so, was like, we've got to go wireless because it was just a bird's nest. So we did that, which made it a lot easier. And it does quite often mean that Tansy's free roaming. She's just prowling around doing a thing when she's singing. But it does mean we can put ourselves where we can fit, so we don't worry about trying to squeeze onto a little stage in the corner. We'll quite often we'll have a couple of people down on the ground as well, and it just makes it nice, makes it a bit different. It's cool.
So, couple of questions in chat. So, first time chatter, Ramsgate. Hell, that's my neck of the woods. Are you Kent locals?
No, we're not. We're not. So we're based around sort of London and Essex, really. So, but really spread out. We've got couple of the band are sort of northeast London and into Essex, and then the other half is southwest London, almost into that way. So completely diagonally opposite from each other. So no, but we are playing around a lot more. I mean, we're playing out of London a lot more than in London, which has been fantastic. It's been really great. And I think coming after the tour, most of the shows we've got planned are out and about. I think we're back up to Sheffield afterwards as well. But we'll definitely want to get back to back around, start revisiting places. And when we get, I think Southwest will be good. We've not really done anything down that way, so that'll be nice.
Yeah.
On the topic of bands, not bands, sort of venues and going around and tours and stuff, what would be a dream venue for you to play? I know you said that like the punk festival is a tick off, which is awesome. What would be a dream place for you? It doesn't necessarily have to be a venue. Might be a festival or a show. What would be your dream show, venue, whatever to play?
Whoa, big one. If you're gonna go big, it's got to be something like Download. That will be.
Yes.
If you're gonna go big
I
or
mean,
go home.
I
That
mean,
will be
Download,
awesome.
even at the size you are now, Download is a possibility. You could get one of the side stages.
I reckon it is.
And I'll tell you what,
Yeah,
I've had better shows at Download in the small stages that I went to than
Guaranteed.
the main ones on the main stage. Like, I gave up, left Maiden on the main stage and went to the side stage. The sound was terrible.
I think COVID kind of killed off a few, like one is there was the Metal to the Masses competition, which was fantastic. We've got a few friends bands that did well, won it and got onto like one of the introducing stages, and it was amazing. Don't know if that's restarted again, because that's a great way in. But yeah, we'll keep plugging away and, like you say, chancing our arm, and we'll you never know. But festival wise, that'll be amazing. I mean, venue wise, I mean, there's some of the real venues from growing up have gone now, which is a shame. Like places like Astoria, even like LA2 would have been amazing. But yeah, Brixton and McCanny would be incredible. But we'll see. We have to try and latch onto some support slots and see what happens.
Yeah.
So with the tour, kind of, we'll go back to the tour side and the music side in a minute. You've got a beer out. How the hell has that come around? And can I please get some?
It was very limited. So I think we're actually what we've got now. But I'm sure we can sneak a few bottles away. But that came out through, I think, literally a patch walking past the I think it's the London Beer Lab,
right,
and going in and having a chat around what we can do, because we was looking at what can we do to make sort of it just a bit more interesting at gigs, venues, and something else other than just the usual t-shirts, hoodies, bits and bobs, which are all there in place. And he dropped in a chat about what could it do to like have a look. How do they do it? So they've got like a white label pilsner that they do batches of, and we had a chat. It's like, well, what if we work together? Got a load, sort of rebadged it and pushed it for us. Would you be up for it? Like, absolutely. So we've got a bit actually. I can lovely
There
model
it
one,
is.
lovely model one here. Oh, it's an empty one. It's long gone.
Is it good?
It's lovely. It's lovely. It's a pilsner, so it's lagery but not super fizzy. It's really flavoursome. Doing the sell, but yeah.
Hey! This is your time to shine and plug whatever the hell you want right now. But I have got a question from another person in the chat. Is it being exported to places like Scandinavia? He's already favorited Hourglass and put that in his playlist, but now he wants to know, is the beer able to be exported?
The beer,
he's like, I've watched all your things. Now, can you please?
Well, let's see. I don't know if it's too late now for ordering the beers, because I think it was literally I think end of last week. But never know. Drop us a message on Instagram. We'll see if we could squeeze a few bottles about for you.
So obviously, all the links that I'm putting into the chat are for the band. You've got the merch link, and obviously their main link, which obviously gives you tour dates and more about the band. So yeah, that's those questions. Beer can be brewed, and I know this. Yeah, Ram does like to brew beer. So back with the tours. Have you had any Spinal Tap moments?
You know what? This is where I jinx it, because so far so good. So, but if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen next week. So far, I mean, touch wood, I probably should go any further. We haven't had any major disasters or anything silly gone wrong. But yeah, eight shows on a row with 100 miles, a couple 100 miles between each one. That's the time it's gonna happen. We'll probably lose one of us. One of us will get lost in a Home Alone moment, get left behind at a service station, not counting them back in, and yeah, something like that will happen. But yeah, so far, nothing really. So I've jinxed it now, as we do.
Fingers crossed and touch wood, nothing does happen, because we don't know that.
Right, I'm going to drop you in here. Who is likely to be the one that gets lost on tour?
Hazik. As we'll float off and find something interesting, and then yeah.
So we're diverting back to a previous question for the video for Hourglass. Who directed it, and how long was the shooting session? This is again from the Twitch chat.
So Hourglass was really pulled together by Dan, the drummer. So Dan, it was his idea to do it, and it's probably the one video that really links everything back to like the artwork and the feel of the album specifically. So Dan was the mastermind behind it, and we worked with a guy called Tim from Signal House Studios, who he actually mixed, mastered, produced the record as well. So he does music and videos. Talented bugger. It's annoying that he's really lovely as well. So it's like one of them. Like,
to be honest, I get lost really easy as well. So.
And we did it over 2 sessions, so 2 days. So the first day was all of the shots you see around the table with the fortune teller and Tansy together was done on one day. In Dan's got like pretty much a shed at the bottom of the garden, and then the more live stuff where we're backlit, that was just at our local rehearsal studio on the second day. So yeah, two sessions, couple of days of editing around it after that.
Really that's not too bad then. Not long really. Yeah. Quite a short turnaround.
Yeah, no mucking around.
Because Ram's just put in, I like the style of the video very much. I really appreciated the production, and it goes so well with the music of the song.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. No, it's I think that was one of the benefits of using Tim to pull it together in edit, because he's kind of record now for probably the best part of 2 years. So he kind of got it, and he could get straight into it.
Yeah, if he's been helping to produce stuff, then he gets the feel of it, doesn't he? And then you get that intertwining.
Totally. We can almost say, this is what we want. We trust you. Off you go.
Go.
And away he went, and it's brilliant. Yeah, definitely want to keep working with Tim, and I'd recommend anyone that's around that's interested in some work done in studios. Great. He's absolute pleasure to work with. So that's yeah, I'd endorse him to anyone.
Awesome.
So blah blah blah. Where was I? I've lost where I was now.
That's right. You've still got a couple. So best moment or nightmares on stage you got, and gear.
That's where I was. So yeah, obviously we've covered like the Spinal Tap moments. Have you had like any nightmare stories, whether it's being going to and from a venue, setting up in the venue, live
During the venue,
leaving the venue?
I mean,
King turned up, got really drunk, started a fight. Like it was just absolute arsehole. He's an absolute arsehole.
I mean, we've had like a few close calls of getting to places where there's, like you say, the one of the hardest things. I mean, like to now we spent, it's remarkably short the amount of time that 6 of us are together. There's quite often 4 of us, 5 of us in various combinations, but snatching all of the times when we're all there is quite, it's quite rare, which feels really an odd thing to say, but it's true. And there's been a few close calls where we waited when people are delayed getting to where we're coming from different places, and that's been a bit worrying. But so far so good. Few like equipment breakdowns is a thing, but again, nothing too
nothing major,
nothing too disastrous. Which again, makes me feel like it's looming, it's coming.
Yeah,
but,
you're tempting fate with this, and I do apologise. So
one of the best ones has been we played in between lockdowns. We actually played. It was a festival called Vegan Camp Out, and it was big festival up in Norfolk, and they had a music stage, and it was in like the stage was like in a big like old sort of warehouse grain store sort of thing. It was huge room, and we were there, and then there was a couple of bands on before us, a few bands on afterwards. But as we was in and setting up, it emptied. It's like, oh my word, there's literally no one in there because it was like half hour, 45 minutes between bands. Everyone was off doing other things, and it's like, oh, this could be awkward. And we got our stuff going, but by the end of it, it was banging. It was filled up. So during it, just got busier and busier throughout the set, which was a lovely feeling because it wasn't as if people were trapped there. Everyone that was in there decided to come in, and that was superb. That was a lovely thing. Probably the most amount of people. So
they heard you, and then they decided to come back. They chose to be there.
Yeah. So that we didn't like get them in and lock the doors behind them. It was yeah.
You shall not pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Queen has asked, who is the biggest liability on a night out from the band?
That's because she has to live with me. She knows to ask that question.
Biggest liability. I'm not sure I should be dropping too many people in it. Yeah. I don't want to say Patch, but I'll probably say Patch. He can go all in.
Hey, I've got to ask the questions from chat. There's gear related ones that I've got to ask in a bit when we get to the gear. So okay, we've had nightmare stories and disasters. What's the best moment you've had on stage?
So I'll probably got to say it's going back to what I said earlier about that feeling at that festival where the people that were there, they weren't specifically there to see us, but they came, they stayed and enjoyed it. And that's probably the single nicest thing I've got to say is when you're playing away from hometown and there is none of your sort of friends there. There's none of people who've seen you before, and people like it and dig it and like openly get on it. They're not just politely clapping at the end. It's really lovely, and that's probably the real thing that keeps it, or me personally, keeps me going. Doing it, it's cracking. So when you get moments like that, that's the best thing.
They're not there because they feel affiliated to you or sort of drawn to you because they know you or because they've heard you before. These are people that literally could take or leave you, and then they've gone, oh, hang on a minute, and this requires a second listen.
I can vouch for that story. So in my local area, we've got the Met Lounge. And one of my friend's band played there with a couple other bands, and one of the bands are called Envisions. Now they have made it big at the minute. Like they are up and coming. They're huge. And I was like, you know what? I really like this band. Never heard them. Went on Spotify and YouTube. Was like, this stuff, this slaps. This is good. It's heavy and.
I mean, some of the bands you bump into, like playing out, it's just you don't, what do you do? I mean, they're so good. It's like, is it just luck? Is it really? Is that what it comes down to? Is it really just?
I think it's a lot of this. A lot of the things in the creative process, and this it also includes streaming. There is an element of luck.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's down completely to luck. And I'm not going to say you have to be lucky to be good or be famous at it or get big at it. I think the only time luck really plays its hand is being in the right time, the right place with the right people. Apart from that, it's your craftsmanship, it's how you show yourself, it's how you hold yourself, and it's what you do.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to be doing it, and you've got to be ready to grab the moment when it comes up. If you haven't got that behind you, then it will either just drop off or it will fall over. So, I'm a believer in that whole idea of you kind of making your lights probably the wrong way to say it.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and I find that a lot of people that like the real sort of visionaries out there, whatever field you're in, particularly in the creatives, I always think they'll be doing it anyway at that level. If no one knew they were doing it, they would still just be doing it because it's what they've got to do, and it just so happens that they've been able to get a platform where many people appreciate it as well. But I feel like the good ones, they'll be doing it regardless. They're not waiting for people to notice them doing it.
They're not storing it in the background. No, they're doing it and trying to push it, and then they get noticed that one time, and that one time leads to thousands, hundreds, however many people seeing them, and then everyone's going, "Oh, this is amazing!" And it's like, "Yeah," and I've been doing this for 20 years.
But that's like the bands that get like the best newcomer award, and you're like, "Yeah, I played 2,500 gigs," and
and now you're only just starting to see me.
Yeah, and I'm the best newcomer. Yeah.
So we've got another question from Queen. So if you could go anywhere in the world, what country would you want to tour? And Ramforth then followed up, and why is it Norway? He is joking, obviously.
I love Scott. I'm on a big Vikings kick at the minute. Just absolutely playing my way through Vikings Valhalla, Last Kingdom. At the end of it, I need more. So yeah, love to go over there. An interesting one though, I think, which is a bit out of the blue, is I would love to go Indonesia and play.
Okay.
Indonesia, we've discovered, has got such an incredible punk and metal scene, which has grown in like literally the last 10 years. They've had nothing, and then all of a sudden, bang, they've introduced to the scene, and it's exploding. It looks incredible. It looks amazing. So yeah, Indonesia, big love.
Awesome.
And they've gone all in. The Indonesian punk and metal scene looks.
You know what? I was surprised. I randomly came across a band from India called Bloodywood.
Bloodywood.
Absolutely amazing.
I've heard about them, right? So I actually have known about them for quite a while, and then they got blown up on Insta, and then they got picked up on by a TikTok video, and now everyone in the metal scene, the metal TikTok scene, is like going, "Have you heard this?" And I'm like, "Yes. I've known about this for a while."
I think it's gone to YouTube before it went to TikTok because. Yeah. I remember hearing this band before. I was like, okay, cool, I should listen to them. Me being the absolute waffle brain that I am, forgot. Came across them again on TikTok. I was like, wait a minute, I recognise this band. YouTube them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's who you are.
It's amazing. The way that the percussive, like the traditional, like almost like Bangla percussive backbeats.
The Bangladeshi, it's a genre you wouldn't think would mix, but my God, does it so good.
Another one I've really enjoyed with that is Alien Weaponry, the guys from New Zealand.
Yes. Maui metal, I call it. It's absolutely ridiculously good.
The one where the music video is about the British giving arms to the tribes people, and then they're fighting. I think Tuhaka, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's powerful. It's
It's
I don't understand all the words and I don't need to. It's just power.
Yes,
and it
I
the
I first
language
heard of
fits, doesn't
Alien
it? Everything
Weaponry.
just
Oh,
it's just
sorry, go on.
amazing. I'm saying the language fits, the feeling fits. It's just
Yeah.
it's absolutely amazing.
I first heard of Alien Weaponry through playing Rocksmith on stream. Somebody requested it as like, this hits. I like this.
Yeah,
It doesn't need to be stupidly heavy or complicated. This hits and it hits
Yeah.
hard.
But yeah, we're going back onto Bloodywood. So they've mixed in quite a lot of I might get this wrong, and if I do, I'm sorry, but it's a lot of sort of Punjabi elements. So the dol is what they're playing, the double-ended drum, and that used to get played a lot in school because I went to a school that's in Southall in London, and there's a very large Indian Asian populace there, and so I've seen a lot of that, and the way they can make that the sort of the percussions that they can do on that is amazing. The sounds they make, amazing. And to have that in a metal track and just listen to it, and you're like, oh, that's good.
It's
That's
bouncing.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, no. Some of the genres that mixed with metal have been absolutely amazing. So
You mentioned earlier about obviously the band getting to meet up, and you don't meet up too often, but you meet up when you're rehearsing and then when you're doing shows and stuff like that. Does that mean you get a lot of free time away from the band, or you still do? Pardon me, sorry, are you still doing band stuff separately? And if so, what sort of hobbies? What are your main hobbies to do outside of band stuff?
Yeah, I mean, at the minute, the band stuff's still taking up a lot of time outside of it, and it's switched to more on the non-music stuff at the minute. Like the last 6 months plus has been all about building up to this week actually is coming up. All of the admin around that, getting the records sorted out, getting the plan. So we're all taking on elements of that to make it happen. Again, one plus of having six to go is that you can divvy it up. So and we've been ramping up the rehearsals in that. But I mean, the geography of where we are does make it quite tricky to get. And we've got to pick a spot that we can kind of all get to. So we tend to rehearse in Greenwich. It's kind of at the midpoint of where we can all get to, and that's got to fit in around day jobs and real life on that. So that has been ramping up a little bit, so it's good. We'll be fine and tight. But yeah, I mean, other hobbies around that for me personally is probably I'm into. Yeah, I enjoy sports as well. I don't play sports anymore, unfortunately, but I enjoy watching and supporting. And the other big hobby for me personally is drawing. I enjoy drawing.
Nice.
I'm getting back into it in a big way. I like doing faces, portraits.
Nice.
Is the thing, and that's very relaxing. It's something to just spend a couple of hours doing nothing about. Not
It's a sole
enough to
purpose,
really,
isn't it?
yeah, not really enough to start showing about. But I've always enjoyed art and drawing for sure, absolutely. And a long time you didn't, and I remember through work, I went to a conference and they had one guy speaking that was nothing to do. It was there as a bit of a refresh, and he was an artist, and it was a guy called Doug Shaw, and he was talking about what stops adults staying creative, and it was really interesting. And he said it comes from there's a point in time where, like when you're a kid, it's all you do. It's all you do is make stuff and churn stuff out. And they said that one day it happens where you look across and someone's doing it and they're doing it better than you, and you go, oh, maybe I'm not. When you start
Feel that
pulling
on
away from
such
it.
a level. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said that's the problem. He said, well, if you want to get back into it, he has this fear about drawing through the bin where you're making something and you're going to throw it away. You're going to get rid of it, no matter what. You get rid of it. And then he said, well, if you keep doing it, one day you'll get to a point where you're like, actually, I don't want to. I'm going to keep that one and sort of build from there. And it was a nice idea, and it kind of got me back into it, really.
Nice. That's good. I suck at portraits. I love drawing. I love drawing. My stuff is more based around. I always draw dark, like gothic monster shit. Like
Nice.
it's always got tentacles and teeth.
That's good tentacles.
The
Nice.
extent
but
of my drawing is a stick man.
But yeah, no, portraits I suck at. But no, it's really nice to hear. And also, yeah, you're completely right. Like you'll draw it and then you'll be you'll be scrolling on Instagram, and it may not even be on the same day, and you're looking at artists and stuff like that, and you go, you draw like maybe a week later, maybe a day later, whatever it is, and you go, it's not as good as that though, is it? Not as good as that though. And I get told off a lot by Queen. She tells me off a lot because I have supreme art. I'm gonna sort of like artist eye block. So I like people look at it and they go, "That's awesome," and I go, "That's rubbish. It's crap. I want to throw it away." And they're like, "No, don't." And I'm like, yeah, dysmorphic, you could say, I suppose.
Yeah, and
I'm just
that's what this guy was showing about. He said that's the fear that you don't, your fear that someone's going to go to you and say that's no good, or that's terrible, and that's it. And he's like, well, don't worry about that. Just do it for you. Just do it. Don't show anyone. And it's like, actually, yeah, that's true. You don't have to.
You don't. You don't at all.
Said,
you don't at
you'll
all.
get to a point where actually you'll get into the rhythm of actually it might take a month, might take 10 years, but it might be that you get to the point actually I'm proud of that and I'm going to do it. But yeah, it was a nice thing to hear, and it was a good exercise.
And then this goes for all creative spaces as well. I think it's not just down to the art, the drawing and art stuff. I think if we have to compete, I think in an essence, to make sure that we're growing. Always have something you're competing with or aiming to get towards in order to keep growing. But don't compete because you want to compete and you want to be better as such. Like, because there will always be someone that's doing something you want to do at a higher rate than you.
In everything,
and then that will kick your ass, and you won't feel good about it. And then, but if you're not feeling good about it, you're not going to continue doing it. But compete with people, not against people. I think is one of the best things to do. Is the best way to put it. Compete with people. Go, oh, you did that. I was really good. I got to step my game up. And then that person then looks at you and goes, oh yeah, rather than they're doing that. I don't like the fact that I'm not doing that. And like this change of mindset. And I think I need to do that with my art. That's the one, probably the only one place that I don't do that. I don't have that mindset. I like competing with people and building people up. But when it comes to my art, I put myself down hugely put myself down.
I'm the same with my guitar playing.
Competition's a good thing. Yeah. It's always something. I mean, competition, I think, is good to help you drive. I think competition can be healthy and positive, for sure. I mean, like you say, going back to the sport thing, if you apply it in the right way and with good people, it's great. I mean, we push each other, and like Ben in the band, Ben bass player, he can play pretty much anything that can be played, and it's phenomenal. And he's probably the best guitar player in the band, and he's playing bass. And he's like, which is good. Stay there. He's like, but, and like some of the stuff he does is like, that's amazing. It's like you want to keep up and chuck stuff back into it, and it's a healthy way of getting better. I think having been around decent people that do it.
As long as the mindset's right.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. Yeah. But as long as the if the mindset's right, if you're in the right place for it, then competition's great. But you should. I think the main thing to take away from it is competing with, not against.
Yeah.
Like competing healthily, as you said, having that healthy balance.
Absolutely.
So, going back to hobbies, obviously you've got drawing as a hobby. What other hobbies do the other band members have? Are there any interesting ones like leatherwork or I don't know, just crafting in general?
Collecting dead things.
Yeah, collecting dead things. Dan Ajamo is, because we're quite open for us. He's got quite a good collection of dead things. I wouldn't say it's his hobby. That makes it so creepy, but he's very good at finding skulls. And you go into, he's got a skull cupboard.
Okay.
Badger skulls, deer skulls.
Nice.
It's like, oh, okay.
So when he releases a song called "I've Got a Cupboard Full of Skulls," we know why.
Yes, that should be a song. That should so be a song. I've got a cupboard full of skulls. Yes.
Not in a weird way, yeah.
We've got 3 around the house. We've got a deer skull, we got a ram skull, and oh no, the bird skulls aren't. They're resin, aren't they? The bird skulls are resin.
I've got one up there.
What?
Up here somewhere.
Oh yeah. There's one up there. Yeah, so we've got like 3 real skulls around the house.
Ooh, skulls.
The ram skull's amazing. It's in the front room, like on a shelf, pride a place like right in the middle.
Yeah, they're super cool. I mean, so I know Pat's partner. She does a lot of interesting stuff. There's bits of taxidermy lurking around, but she can make a few of these amazing like bug clocks with like big various beetles at the hours, and they're sort of displayed, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
Ben is a master at fixing stuff and making things. He is an absolute MacGyver. Very handy.
I'm
He's
the
fixing
opposite.
some
I could
bits for
take
me at
something
the minute.
apart and then forget how to put it back together again.
Yeah.
How
He
I
sold-
built a
he
PC,
sold-
I don't know, but I did it.
YouTube.
Yeah, pretty
He,
much.
the favourite thing he's done is because on the record there's loads of like intro bits and bobs in between the records. It's like, can we work out a way of doing this live? And we was looking at, do we have to get like a MIDI keyboard to trigger it and a laptop and stuff? And you can see his brain ticking over. And he came back, he's like, worked it out, and he's basically found a way to get it into just a normal Boss looper pedal in the banks. So it was hanging around. He worked out how to do it. So it's almost like a sampler in a Boss pedal. And then the problem was, we realised we can get stuff going, but he has to, like, there's a bit of intro music to set it off. But it's a bit awkward because you have to sort of creep on, hit the button, run away again, then come on again. And the last
Dressed all
thing
in
he's
black.
done- yeah. But then he's like, oh, right, and he came in and he's basically made it work through like a car key fob alarm thing, like, blip, through there. It's like,
Wow.
amazing. Yeah. Very
Dude.
handy guy to have around. Yeah. I don't think there's anything he's not been able to fix yet. So we've not
Nice.
thrown like a washing machine at him yet, but I'm sure he'll work it out.
Let's not talk about washing machines. I think both me and Dan have had to fix one in the last month.
Yeah.
So you're obviously talking about the gear side of stuff, which is fantastic. That brings us into like the last little section of questions that I've got. So I'll start off with, what made you start wanting to play guitar, or who?
Now, again, probably not the most typical of ways, and it's actually, and I think generally, it's not a false memory. It generally came about through Back to the Future, with where Marty McFly's at the
Yes.
Enchantment Under the Sea does and starts ripping out Johnny Be Good. As like a 7-year-old, that was probably the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life.
I
And I
must
can
admit, that is an iconic
pretty
scene,
much
and
place it back to there.
I'm pretty sure there's a few people out there that have only started playing guitar purely because of they want to do that scene.
Absolutely.
So,
So, I mean, it was
sorry.
great. I mean, hitting up Argos, getting your first one from the Argos catalogue, and then all flowing from there.
Stand in front of the amp, hoping that it just flings them across the room.
I remember being bitterly disappointed. The first time, so I went through like little nylon string acoustic. I got my first electric guitar and plugged it into an amp, and it didn't make the noise you think it does. It just went bring. Like, this is. I had no idea what to do with it. It's like, oh, heartbroken.
I mean, I know why I started, and it was purely because of Angus Young from AC/DC. I just wanted to be
Nice.
Angus. I have a
Nice.
and I have this beauty right here. There we go. My SG. The main reason.
This is number one for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so same thing.
Very nice.
Yeah, SG's absolutely love it. So this is so this is what I'm going to be using for the week. But this, I got that when I was must have been about 18, and I was saving to buy my first car. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, okay, so we know you have a Gibson SG.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the better Gibsons out there, let's face it. What other, obviously we can see the cases behind you. So what other like workhorse, what's like your record workhorse? Like what one do you always go to? Is like, you know what, I'm playing it on this and you know it's going to sound ripper.
So probably SG is still number one for the bulk of it, and it's on everything. But there is the other guitar I use for Cuckoos a lot actually. I've used it probably more live for that. It's a telly, but it was a limited edition one, so it's got
Ooh.
twin humbuckers, proper bridge on it, not the funny telly bridge. So it's not really a telly; it's just telly shaped.
Okay.
And that's really cool. It's different though. It's not as quite as the SG. I think when I get into starting a grunge band, that's the one.
So
Yeah, I mean,
what other guitars are there? I'm interested, and I'm sure a few of the other guitarists in chat are. You don't need to get them out. Just tell us what you've got.
So no worries. So there's an old Japanese Strat, which was probably my first real official guitar. That was when I was about 15. The music shop down the road closed down, and my mate's dad was a musician, and he gave me the nod that if you phone this guy, there's some deals to be had. So that was like my first sort of real guitar.
Nice.
And I've sort of modded it a bit. I've stuck a humbucker in it to use it more, but it could be put back in if I ever wanted to go back to how it was. And there's a couple of acoustics, and the silly one I've got it's an LTD 7-string baritone. It's
Okay.
Stephen Carpenter signature purple thing. It's wonderful. Never used it live yet. Not really a fan of it, but Deftones would probably, if I had to stick my pin in a favourite band, it would probably be Deftones.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all, to be fair. Deftones are,
Yeah.
they're all right.
Yeah. All right, they're not bad. Yeah,
As
I
for
mean,
LTDs, like, I'm a huge fan of LTDs. Just don't like
Yeah.
my one because it hurts my back.
Is it lumpy? Is it,
EC401 Les Paul shape. It's just a chungus.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a
no
chunk.
weight relief in there. It's just the.
So live, do you prefer? Are you a pedal man, or do you use something like Kemper or Axe Effects?
I use a Boss, the GT1000 live for everything. It all goes through there, and I've kind of always been that route of using pedals or sort of lately modelers, and that's kind of been for sort of necessity really more than anything else. So I've always been a Boss fan. I've used Boss for forever. I mean, before I got the GT1000, I was using the GT6, and that was 18 years old and still going strong, and it still is going strong actually. So I finally upgraded about 18 months ago, and I love it. It's great. But I mean, real amps. The album is all on real amps. We used a mixture of it was a Marshall JVM, which is what I used most of the time. I think Pat used an Orange TH30, and Leslie used a Mesa Studio, I think Mark IV it was, and that's
Okay.
all the gear that was in Tim's studio to play with. So that's all real amps on the records, but we can sort of copy it. But I think there was a mixture of sort of building up your gear, just affordability. So I've loved to sort of have
gear is not cheap no matter what. But then nor are any of like the plugins like for doors and recording, like they're expensive as well.
They're getting there, aren't they? They're really building up. It's quite interesting that, especially now where I think it's going to be there's definitely going to be a tipping point, and it's getting so good, the digital stuff, especially now, like, even like valves are going to be becoming scarce. That's probably going to thing that makes it happen, really, about more of that switch over. But I mean, the other thing was there was a practical side of it, like especially playing regularly in town. You're either going there straight after work, or you're going there quickly, or you're borrowing gear, or you're using the venue's gear. So you've got no real idea about what you're going to be faced with. So the easiest way was to try and get as much of it carryable and with you, so you can either just plug into a cabinet and go from there. So I've started using. I bought it as backup, but I've only ever used it for the little Seymour Duncan power stages.
Okay.
Little power amp. So I've got that and the GT1000, and that's it. Sort of good to go. And if it ever came to it, I could go straight into the PA from there. I've not had to yet. I prefer going through a cab rather than just going straight into the PA. But yeah, trimmed it right down, to be honest. And it's
I was going to say that is one simple rig. To be fair, guitar, pedal, and amp and cab.
It's risky though, because if it does go wrong, you're
that's what you've got.
Yeah,
but at least I'm sure you've got backups though, or at least a backup of some description.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a I probably am going to take. I've got a it's an Orange, the Crush 120, so it's a solid state head, but at least if it goes wrong, like on the floor, at least there's going to be a decent sound you can switch to just to get you through it. So I'll probably be using that when we go out and about.
I've known Orange amps to be fantastic. I'm a Marshall man myself, but Orange amps are They are good.
No, I was Marshall for years. I was Marshall for years, and the thing that really switched it was just looking for. I didn't want a valve head, so it was just looking for a good solid state. So I wanted loud and clean because I use pedals, but then to have the ability to switch into a good dirty noise if you needed to. And it's great. It's really, really good. And it's not going to break your back carrying it around. Is it?
Don't. Recently, one of the venues local to me needed some roadies as British Line didn't have any. So I was moving a lot of Steve Harris's cabs and basses, and my back was broken. I got home, like we emptied the stuff. I emptied the stuff. I got into my car. I was like, got home. I was like, I need a nap. And the next thing you know, it's like time to go back. I was like, yeah, no, I've got to unload this shit next.
Yeah, someone's got to invent the collapsible drum kit because that's the one. Holy moly!
How can you imagine? Actually,
Like,
that would...
But even then, that'd still weigh a ton. But I think the heaviest bit I moved was his cabs because he's a cab guy.
Imagine.
He doesn't direct it into the mixing desk. He goes straight to his cab, and that's him done. I'm like. eight 4x12s. I'm like, no, I'm good.
It's really testing how good the windows are in little venues, blimey.
And this is a tiny venue. It was in Peterborough. It's the Met Lounge in Peterborough, so a really small venue. I'm like, I can feel the bass, and it's not even plugged in.
Why do my insides feel like they're vibrating?
Literally,
I'm turning to mush.
So, we're obviously coming up to the end now. I'm trying to think of a couple more gear questions. What strings do you use? That's a personal one for me. I like to know what strings people use.
So I use Ernie Ball 10 to 52, so the skinny top heavy bottoms.
Okay, yeah, not bad.
I think that's pretty much across the board. That's what we go for. Yeah, Ernie Balls.
So do you do quite a lower tuning, or are you standard?
Cuckoos is all standard E throughout across the board. I love low tune stuff. I mean, we'll have to maybe we'll do a Deftones, and the next record we'll drop it down and see how it goes from there. But yeah, I think all of the new songs with Mucky Man were all drop tuning. So yeah, we never know. But yeah, Cuckoos is all bog standard.
Standard, nice. I mean, the thing is, there's that age-old argument. Oh, you've got to drop tune to sound heavy. No, you don't.
No, you don't. You don't. Tell that to Slayer. They very rarely drop tunes. It's like, yeah.
I guess the final question is, what is next for the band? Like, obviously, we've got the album tour this month.
Yep.
Album coming out soon or out now? I can't quite remember.
It officially comes out on the 8th.
There we go. So that's out next week.
Yeah.
The beer. I mean, we need more beer. Like, I come to Peterborough and there's not a beer there for me. I'm going to be sad.
We'll see how much you like it, or how good you can be to me, Ed. I'll see if I can pick some up at Camden.
Fair play.
Peterborough. A few of the venues are actually going to be stocking it on the night. So
oh, nice.
Yeah. We've sent a few crates around, so we might be able to pick some up there on the day. But
please,
I mean,
what's
next?
I think
the main thing. I think the next thing we're probably going to hopefully just enjoy the rest of the year off the back of the work. Really now, and we've got sort of gigs lined up. We'll pick up a few more, and then maybe start working on the next one. We won't be in a super hurry for the next one. Probably give it a year or so before the next one starts appearing. But yeah, hopefully enjoy this one.
Nice.
Very nice.
So do you want to tell everyone the name of the album and where they can get it from?
Yeah, so the album's called Death or Glory. The best place is to go through midwichcuckoos.com, and you can pick it up from there on most formats. We've got a lovely vinyl. You get it on the CD, and all the usual places for the digital versions. But yeah, midwichcuckoos.com.
Some of your merch is fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. The Ouija board fest is
There we go. The last.
Hey.
There it is. So they do exist.
Yeah,
Um,
Leslie was very excited for those. Very excited for those vinyls. So, sorry,
Yeah,
Ed, you were
they're
saying
wonderful.
about the merch, dude.
Saying about the merch, yeah. I really want the Ouija board vest.
Oh, nice. Yeah, totally. Oh, got a visitor. Yeah, absolutely. Ouija board vest would be no problem.
Well, that. Oh, sorry. There's one question in chat. Guilty pleasure band.
Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing?
Yes, mine is Foo Fighters. As a huge metalhead, Foo Fighters aren't that heavy.
True, but like Foo Fighters,
They are
Fighters
fantastic.
thing for a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think Foo Fighters count as a guilty pleasure. I'm going all in and saying mine's probably Chucking Deep with some pliers. Love it.
Oh, I'm being
Love a bit
visited
of,
as well.
90s reggae.
Oh, reggae.
Hello, little man.
Actually, I
Hey, then.
love me some ska. And
Yeah.
that's not even a guilty pleasure. And going back very quickly onto what you guys were saying earlier about what Ed was saying about going to the some of the smaller stages in Download. I remember one year I went there and Skindred were playing at the Jägermeister stage. They weren't, and the day after they played on one of the bigger stages, but they played on the Jaeger stage, which is like a really small stage. And I, dude, it was amazing. They had the biggest crowd there. They were just like, everyone's listening to Skindred, starts doing the Newport helicopter, going absolutely mad.
Bruh, 2016
wanna go home,
download, the
they
Newport
just,
helicopter
yeah.
was mental.
It was mad. Sorry, what was that, Ed?
2016, when I went to download, they were at the second stage and the ground was shaking to the Newport helicopter.
We were at the same Download. I was there for that Download.
Or as I've properly named it, Brownload 2016. My God,
Yes.
my tent was, I had to sleep in the car for the whole of the festival.
I tented as well. And we woke up one morning and the mud was halfway up the back of our tent where it just like in the night had started to seep down because it had been raining so much. Woke up in the morning like, why is it so dark in here? And I was like, because the sun's that way and the mud's like covering half the tent.
That's grim.
Oh no.
It was horrible. Well, is that the year we went?
2016 was the year we went, but I was pregnant. That was
And you were pregnant, yeah.
Yeah, headliners were Maiden, Sabbath, and Rammstein.
Yeah, we missed Rammstein. We
Same.
missed
I saw Korn. I was like, no, I'm too wet. I'm going back to the tent.
We watched Korn, and then we had to leave because was it Korn? It was Korn we watched, and then we had to leave, wasn't it? Because you were too cold and because she was pregnant.
Yeah, it was horrible, that one.
No, you don't need to feel horrible. Don't be silly.
I feel horrible. I missed Rammstein.
We missed Rammstein, but that's fine.
So did I, but it's fine. Well, Rob, I believe that is it for the questions, my friend. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
That was amazing. That was a lot of fun.
Up.
That was good.
Good. I'm glad, dude. I'm glad.
King, thank you for setting this up. Obviously.
Not at all.
Ben has come in to say hi.
As I was saying to Rob before we kicked off, you've got, you know, you play Rocksmith, you've got the metal crowd, and you know this is a nice intersection for people who know the band, maybe if they're here today to see you, and for people who see you to get to know the band. So it's a nice thing for everyone.
Exactly.
That's awesome. No, absolute pleasure.
Well, we will find somebody to raid out to.
Wheels.
Is Wheels
Birthday.
live? Is he?
Birthday.
Is it his birthday?
It's his birthday stream.
Right, we will go into Wheels then.
Sorry, I know.
No,
I'm
that's
like
absolutely fine.
raid,
I've got nobody musical wise on anyway.
So yeah, Rob, we have a bit of a community, so we try and like help each other out and do bits and pieces. So it's one of our dudes' birthdays today, so we're heading over to his stream. Well, not like here because we will just be sat here.
Yeah, we'll be sat here
on Ed's stream. Yes,
but yeah, is there anything you would like to add to the end before we disappear?
No, that was amazing. I mean, it's just the usual stuff. I mean, if it's piqued anyone's interest, check us out. Let us know what you think of it. Have a look at the videos. Have a look at Dan doing his thing. That'll be amazing.
Lucky it ain't me because I'd have been like, buy our merch.
I'm proud to say we've done the whole stream with an ad right at the end. Yes.
Yes.
So we will raid out with the ad rolling.
Go on then.
But Rob, again, thank you for being here, buddy. This will be obviously left up here for everyone who missed it. It'll
Edit
go
it,
onto my
put it on
YouTube for
YouTube.
you guys to watch again there and thereforth. But Rob, Dan, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Yeah.
You have all
That's
been awesome. I've been Metalhead, and we'll see you all soon.